International Women's Day 2024. Invest in women. Accelerate progress. Working in the family business ignited this woman's passion and purpose. How did you get into the human resource management field?
I've been called upon to answer that question on numerous occasions, and I always say the same thing. I got into HR by fluke. I did not start in my career wanting to be in HR. I pursued a BSc in Economics and Law. I studied at the Cavelle campus, and my intention was to become an attorney at law. It was through the involvement in my family business and working during every July-August vacation period and recognizing that there was a need for HR in my family's business, I decided to now get involved, set up a department, work on employment contracts, policies, staff events, and then I decided that this is what I wanted to do.
Tell us about HERAT and its work.
All right, so HERAT was founded 35 years ago. Our 6 founders got together at the offices of Gordon Draper. We consider him the father of HERAT. And they basically saw a need for an association to gather HR practitioners and to really develop the profession, recognizing 35 years ago, HR looked a little different from what it is today. HERAT's primary role is really focused on developing the members first and foremost. We've been doing a lot of certification of members, providing access to new thoughts, new and provocative topics that are out there. So even recently having our HR into the Metaverse conference, which was the first of its kind, focusing on a lot of the technology issues coming out, especially from COVID. So we really see ourselves as the body for being at the forefront for developing our practitioners first and foremost. Then naturally being the thought leaders and advocating for the HR function. A lot of government policy is set and not often all stakeholders are engaged and involved in that kind of decision making. So through HERAT and some of the advocacy work that we've been doing, we have been in fact invited to a number of consultations and provided members the opportunity to add their voice to some of the policy changes that government are now coming up with.
What is your vision for HERAT as president of the organization?
Well, I've been president for 2 years. This is now my 3rd year. I'm in my 3rd year now. And it has been really a delightful, sometimes very stressful experience, especially if you have big goals. And I work with a team of people, and we do have big goals and dreams and how we see and perceive the association going forward. So we are in the process right now of planning strategy for 2024 to 2027. And we see ourselves as the organization that government should be coming to on HR matters, first and foremost. We want to make sure also that our members get some value from the organization. So we are examining our relationship with our members, trying to determine what their needs are, and to package those needs as best as we can in some kind of value offering, so that we will have an engaged and active membership. And for me personally now, I really want to see HERAT being that regional voice as well too. Now we've been doing a lot of work with our Caribbean counterparts and sister organizations, as I would call it. And I really do see us as being the one bringing all the bodies together, encouraging dialogue, sharing of information, and developing a Caribbean body of work, Caribbean stories, as I would like to call it. The HR profession, like any other, is evolving and evolving quickly with automation, with the need for data processing and data decision making as well too, with mental health issues becoming at the forefront, especially coming out of COVID, dealing with remote work and how we treat with culture issues and performance management issues and a whole host of things as we look at the evolving world of work changing and shifting, and ensuring that we are at the forefront of it, predicting the trends, noting what is coming and preparing our members for it.
What were some of the challenges you've had in your career?
So for me, most of my challenges centered around the gray areas, as I call it in HR, and dancing around it. It's a nice ballet that you have to do, you know, with steps that allow you to balance the interests of the employer as well as the interests of the employee, recognizing that there wouldn't always be common ground. And coming out of that would be conflict. And conflict naturally results with one group being unhappy with you in one form or the other. So for me, dealing with the people issues and conflict in the workplace has been one of the major challenges as well. Sometimes I have found myself in spaces where I was either the only woman or the youngest person in the room. And that in itself has its own challenges when we consider gender and gender issues. And we're talking about International Women's Day, right? I have been blessed, I will say, with men who were always willing to provide guidance and to be somewhat of a mentor to me. I recall, I wouldn't call the organization, but I was part of this organization when it was now founded. And again, being the only woman, the men watched me and said, well, she will be the secretary on the board. And I'm like, how you come to that conclusion, that I will be the secretary on the board? You know, but because I was a woman, that was automatically the role I should be assigned. But I took it up because I had my legal background. And if it's forming an association, there was registration, there was bylaws, there were a number of things that they couldn't do. So I said, you know what, I will take up this challenge nonetheless, although it didn't originate from a good space. And that is how I flip things around in my favor. So you may not have intended well for me, or it was meant to probably hurt or make you feel like you're less than, but I took that as an opportunity to use my training and my background to actually contribute to that association. But I always recall that comment, that sitting in that room, and every single time I went on a site, because it was connected to construction, it always be a test of my knowledge and what I know what I'm talking about. That was never post a meal. So these are some of the things that I encountered along the way as well.
Any particular successes that stand out for you?
Well, I've had many in the midst of all the disappointments, even tears, all right? You can't do this job without a bit of tears ever so often. I've had some really good success stories because in HR and what we do, it's where we could actually make a difference in people's lives. So I would say, besides personal achievements, which I wouldn't focus on to answer this question, my major achievement would be the difference I have made in the lives of individuals. And even after I've left organizations, people meeting me up and sharing their stories. So it's these little stories, to me, are my wins. It wouldn't necessarily be an award that I received. I mean, I've had that opportunity and have been acknowledged for my work, especially by my Caribbean counterparts recently, but it's more the impact in terms of the advice, to see people grow in their careers, to see people transition, to change fields altogether.
How do you think we can invest in women to accelerate their progress?
We could talk about different ways in which you could invest in the future and the success of a woman. I would say even to corporate Trinidad and Tobago, things like childcare solutions in the workplace. That can make a huge difference, because some of the challenges we've seen in the past centered around the lack of childcare solutions or the woman's ability to afford it as well too. Something as simple as that can actually make a difference in a woman's life. And if perhaps, because I'm talking to the Parliament channel, we could have some tax incentives to employers who give up prime property, because that's what they will tell you. I've heard all the arguments when I've raised this. Why should I give up good real estate for a daycare? But if there's an incentive towards it, like some kind of tax break, like what happens if you invest in sports or in culture, why not do it for something that impacts the fabric of our society, family life? Why not give a break for that? That will make a huge difference. That is how we invest in women. Sometimes a lot of money is spent, and you hear billions and millions, billions of dollars being spent. But how does that really trickle down in terms of the data to women and women businesses? Gender budgeting allows you to break down that information. So you can really see if X amount is spent annually, how that directly impacts women and girls. So maybe effectively rolling out a gender budgeting policy or incorporating that into the national budgeting system will make a difference as well.
Do you think it is important to celebrate International Women's Day annually?
It's an occasion where we can actually celebrate how far we've come along, celebrate those that have made a difference and acknowledge their contributions. I mean, there's so many powerful women throughout history and different eras in time that their stories are now being narrated and told, and another generation can appreciate what they've done and how they've contributed to the rights that they now enjoy. I mean, our right to vote as women is very recent in the 20th century. Our right to own assets and land and to own businesses are also very recent. To have a different account from our husbands, 20th century things. And it's women who had to advocate for that. So it's an opportunity for always bringing a clarion call for advocacy work, for celebrating the achievements, but also to recognize that there's so much more work to be done.
Invest in women. Accelerate progress. The Office of the Parliament celebrates International Women's Day 2024.